Oh, did I CC them? Oh, shit. Ooh. This so far. Good morning. If everybody could unmute, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Morning, Judge.
Morning. I see Mr. Velasco, Mr. Sanchez, and then Mr. Salazar. How are you involved?
I am the tenant that lives below Miss Hamilton.
Okay. And then Ms. Hamilton's on the screen. Ms. Hamilton, do you have video? And can you unmute, please? And Jessica Castaneda, can you unmute too, please? It's a blue button on your screen, in the screen of your video. Should be a blue button in the upper right-hand corner. If you look within the screen of your video, the video of you. Blue button in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
Find it? Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, everybody but Mr. Sanchez, if you could please raise your right hand. Right hand. Ms. Castaneda. Ms. Hamilton, the right hand. Okay, you swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Velasco, this is any other motions filed or anything? I didn't look at the answer. Let me see. Is there any, Mr. Sanchez, anything in the answer?
I just have some affirmative defenses, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you can raise those. Okay. Mr. Velasco, you want to go ahead?
Yes, sir, Judge. If you recall, the last time that we were here was about, I'm gonna say 3 weeks ago, which we tried to have the evicted, but I had failed to provide the defendant with the specifics as to why she was being evicted, and therefore, I lost the case, I guess, because of this procedural issue. But since then, we did provide the defendant with the notice of what lease contract violations she had made, as well as the notice to vacate. Now, so question, I'm not an attorney, Judge, so I'm gonna try and put my best Perry Mason on here, okay? So I'm saying I would like to submit those into evidence. Would you want me to read them, or do you have them there? We did send them to.
What are they again?
The notice of lease contract violation and notice to
Gotcha.
vacate.
Um,
I would like to
Did
read
they file-
the notice of
did they
lease
file-
violation. I would like to, Judge, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to read in the notice of lease contract violations. There's some information there that's pertinent to the case, and then go on with the rest of what I have. So can I read that in now?
Sure, and I think I can bring it up here on, I think it's
Okay.
here filed with the case. 1 second.
Okay.
Is this what you're referring to? What's on the screen now?
Oh, geez. I don't see anything, Judge, but does it say, is it addressed to Mrs. Hamilton, and it says notice of, oh yeah, no, that's the eviction notice. Notice
Okay,
to vacate. Okay, it's another one. It says it's addressed to Mrs. Hamilton, and it says regarding notice of lease contract violations.
Did you send it in?
That's annoying. If you don't have it, I could read it in, or I could have it sent to Juanita right now. It's the notice that we gave her.
Okay. Did you send it in though to us? I mean, I'd like to get on the screen if I could.
Hold on, Judge, I'm checking. Give me a second. Yeah, yes, sir, we did.
With your petition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see, maybe.
It's addressed to Mrs. Hamilton, dated August 24th. My daughter is going to send it again to Juanita if that'll help. But if not, I meanwhile, I could read it to you.
I noticed, is it dated August 24th?
Yes.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, great.
Is this what's on the screen?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Okay. Okay, you can go ahead. You can read it if you like.
Okay.
I just put it on
Okay,
the-
that's fine, Judge. No problem. Okay, regarding this, we informed her of which violations in specific, Judge, she had made. So I would like to just read it briefly because there's a couple of points in here, and then I've also got some other information. Okay, so we told her it has been reported and documented that excessive noise and disturbance has been coming from your apartment. You are in violation of the contract, section 14, prohibitive conduct. We have given you 2 prior verbal warnings. This is your 3rd warning in writing. Then violations of section 14, loud or obnoxious conduct. On April 20th, 2021, management received a complaint regarding screaming, sounds of things breaking, and loud banging, which caused the walls and roof of other tenants to shake. You were also caught on video throwing objects from your apartment window, as well as damaging someone's motorcycle. Evidence of this event has been made in the form of videos. And both Mrs. Alonso, my 2 witnesses, my apartment manager, Mrs. Alonso, Mrs. Alonso and the defendant, Mr. Salazar, will be testifying to this. And also there's a video of this, Judge. We also sent that to you.
Okay.
Okay. Next part, violation of section 14, disturbing or threatening the rights, comforts, health, safety, or convenience of others. On July 25th, 2021, management received a complaint from the tenant in apartment 9 regarding your yelling and cursing at him. When he had mentioned to management that excessive noise was coming from your apartment the day prior, an audio recording was made regarding this incident. The police were called on this occasion, and they attempted to speak to you, but you refused to open the door to them. Management considers the confrontation with other tenants a behavior that cannot be tolerated, as it puts the safety of our tenants at risk. Okay. Then, of course, we gave her the notice of eviction, and it basically just reiterates what I wrote into that into her notice of her violations, Judge, but the eviction notice and demand for possession was provided to her as well the following day. Also, Judge, since our last eviction notice, the defendant has become, very hostile towards my manager and the defendants around her, in particular, the defendant in apartment 9, Mr. Salazar, and his wife, Jeanette. And as owners of the complex, I fear that this hostility will be affecting more and more of our tenants. I don't want to lose tenants because of her. And we also kind of, from the threats that were made, which Mr. Salazar will be commenting on, kind of fear for his safety, everyone's safety. Things could get out of hand. Also, as of recent, Judge, the tenant's husband, or the man that lives there with her, I'm not sure if it's her husband, but has now made specific threats to the tenants in apartment 9. And again, Mr. Salazar can comment on that. They have made threats against their person and have threatened to slash their car tires. The threat came in that the husband told Mr. Salazar, and again, he will comment on that if they keep making complaints against them, that's what's going to occur. And Mr. Salazar, what he did is he made a police report about this incident just as it occurred on the 12th of this month, which was this last Sunday. So we have yet to receive the copy of the police report, but there is an incident report, incident number, and the report, they told us it would take about 3 to 4 weeks to get it processed and be available. Okay, we've already requested that, but okay, in retaliation to the latest eviction notice, the tenant also has refused to pay her rent and any of the late fees that have occurred. When my manager goes to ask her to talk to her, the defendant is extremely hostile and offensive. Also, since the last hearing, which was about 3 weeks ago, the police have been called on the tenant on 2 separate occasions. One for a fight that got out of control between the defendant and her husband, and another for threatening, again, the tenant in apartment number 9. So Judge, I'm kind of worried that the safety of the tenants is an issue. So basically what I did is I ran a background check on the tenant and found that she has a history of evictions and disturbing the peace. Okay. I guess I should have done that background check earlier prior to having her, but it's kind of okay at the beginning. Also, Judge, in regards to
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the background checks. It was not part of the any of the evidence submitted to court.
Mr. Velasco,
okay, that's fine.
things that happened in the last week or two that you just focus on the things that you're evicting for now.
Right, correct. Okay, no problem. Also, Judge, in regards to the defendant's original answer to my petition for eviction, the defendant is trying to make this an issue of her 21-year-old child, and trying to make that it's the child that's at fault making the noise here, and that is not the case, Judge. As per my manager's information and me speaking with other tenants regarding the complaints that have been made, it's not the child that's making the noise or bothering the tenants. Instead, it's been the adults that have been causing the disturbances with their yelling and fighting inside the building, inside their apartment, excessively loud music, and in particular, Judge, the verbal threats that have been made by the defendant and her husband to the tenants in apartment 9. This is where the things can get out of hand, Judge. Things can occur here, fights, who knows where it could lead to, but the defendants, they've gotten to the point where they're an issue.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to the verbal threats, the anything that was not pled in the petition, post the pleading of the petition, anything that occurred after the pleading of the petition. I'm going to object to any of that.
Okay. Well, we can take that up. when the witnesses testify.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, Judge. Manager, just a couple of questions to bring in. She knows about the case and what she's.
Mr. Velasco, you're freezing on my screen. I don't know about on everybody else's.
Yes, he's freezing.
Okay, Mrs. Alonso, are you there?
Yes,
Go back
Okay.
to
Okay, you're there. Okay, Mrs. Alonso, have you spoken to the defendant regarding the complaints that have been made about her and her husband?
Mr. Velasco.
Yes.
Just- You've testified. I'm going to give Mr. Sanchez an opportunity to ask you any
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
Mr. Sanchez, do you have any questions of Mr. Velasco?
Yes, Mr. Velasco, you weren't the witness to any of these events, were you?
No.
Okay, so everything you put on here was from what other people have told you,
From my tenants and my apartment manager.
but they told you or they told your apartment manager?
My apartment manager told me, and the defendant told me as well, and one of the defendant apartment, I mean the tenant apartment 9 told my manager as well what he told me.
Okay, so you don't have any actual personal knowledge of the allegations that you're raising against Mrs. Hamilton, correct?
Other than what my manager told me and what the
Oh.
tenant told me, which I have to rely on them. I don't live there in the building.
Okay.
That's why I have a manager there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Judge, thanks.
And it's Ms. Alonso, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just on the screen, it's Jessica Castaneda.
Oh,
but
that's my daughter's computer. That's why it's on Jessica's Castañeda.
This is so we're not, we're all on the same page. Okay. Okay, Ms. Velasco, if you want to go and ask Ms. Alonso any questions you'd like.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Mrs. Alonso, have you spoken to the defendant regarding the complaints that have been made about her and her husband? Have you spoken to her about those?
Yes,
On how many occasions?
more than 2 times, more than probably, I don't know, about 5 times that I've been talking to her.
Okay, very good. Now, in her response to you, what did she say regarding those complaints, and how did she respond to you? How was her demeanor? How was her behavior towards you?
Not appropriate for her. I mean, she was very hostile to me, and she was just not talking like a very loud voice, and then she will lower her voice, but then she was just talking to me in a very aggressive voice.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you've warned, or you've notified Mrs. Hamilton that her behavior is not tolerable, and also that it's detrimental to the tenants regarding her and her husband's fighting, yelling, excessive noise, and now in particular the threats that they have made to the other defendants.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. That's it for Mrs. Alonso, Judge. I don't know if the other attorney wants to ask her something. Then I would like to call the tenant in apartment 9.
Yes, okay. Now, Mr. Sanchez, do you have any questions of Ms. Alonso?
Ms. Alonso, when you've spoken to Mrs. Hamilton, you said she was loud.
Yes, the one of the times that I was talking to her, she was just talking like she was getting upset about the situation, and then she will lower her voice. But first
Okay.
she was like kind of
So-
upset.
So when she realized that she was getting loud, she did lower her voice, correct?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay, okay. And you do know that she has a 21-month-old son, correct?
yes.
And he is a special needs child?
I didn't know until she explained to me that her son was special. I didn't know. She
Okay,
explained to me one of the conversations that we had. She never say anything to me or to anybody.
okay. When she first moved into the
Judge,
apartment,
Judge, can I do it? Like I'm gonna do the Perry Mason thing, objection here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, the child has nothing to do with this particular case. There is no issue regarding the child or any noise that the child has made or any threats or any loud noise by the child. Why the child is being brought up is not an issue here, Judge.
I understand your position, but I'm going to allow Mr. Sanchez to question about that.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you were not aware, when she first moved in, Ms. Alonso, didn't Mrs. Hamilton ask about the apartment on the first floor, to rent an apartment on the first floor?
I'm just in charge of collecting rents, work orders, and any complaints. The ones that they do all the paperwork and all the renting, there's another person that takes care of that. The only one that opens the door in case they lock in or lock out, pick up rents, complaints, anything that needs to be done in the apartments. I don't have nothing to do with the paperwork or who's how to rent and all that. That's not my position. My position is just collecting rents and all that needs to be in the building. So I didn't know until she explained to me when I had
Okay.
a conversation with her.
Has she ever asked you about renting apartment number 1?
She did, but I didn't know until she told me that when she rent apartment, that she wanted to move into apartment 1. And I goes, well, I don't know. I don't have nothing to do with that because I'm not in charge of any of that.
Did she ever tell you, did she ever ask you or make it known to you that the reason she wanted to rent apartment 1 is because her children make noise?
She did tell me when she explained to me that her son was a special need. But like I told you, I don't know nothing about when she rent apartment, when she did the paperwork. I don't know nothing about what she explained to the person in charge about that. So
Okay. And so you wouldn't have been able to tell her anything about whether she could rent the bottom apartment or not?
no, I told her that I have an answer for her.
Okay, what
I don't know.
apartment number is that she asked about?
I guess when she moved in, when she rent apartment, she said that she wanted to move in to one of the down floor apartments. And at that moment, I guess they told her there was nothing available. But I mean, that's it. There's nothing.
Okay, since April the 20th, which is when you gave her the first warning, or that's one of the things you mentioned as one of the grounds for eviction, dated April 20th. At that time, since that time, has she asked you about apartment number 1, the one
No.
that's
No.
vacant?
No. No.
Okay, and it is vacant, correct?
No,
I don't know. I don't know. Like I told you, I only in charge of collecting rents, complaints, and work during for the hallways and all that stuff. About what's renting, no, until the day is rented, they send me information for the person that is gonna rent it and how much rent is gonna do. Like I told you, I don't know which apartments are available right now. So that's the only thing I do. I don't do any paperwork for renting.
Okay, and in your notice to vacate, you address the violation of section 14, the first bullet point. You indicate on there that complaints have been made about screaming, sound of things breaking, and loud banging, causing the walls and the roof and other tenants to shake. How old is the building?
Pretty old.
Okay, would you say it's in pretty bad shape?
No, it's not. It's not in a bad shape. It's the owners that have been taking care. They've been taking care very good. So I mean, every time needs to be done anything to the apartment, they do it. I mean, it's not the
Okay.
apartments coming apart.
Okay. But you were not a witness to any of these complaints, right? About things breaking and loud banging or anything. You were not a witness to any of that.
Just about what the people from apartment number 9, they will call me and they will explain to me what was going on. They were explain to me that they were making noise, that there's any problem. That was the only thing, that just by what the apartment 9 will tell me, then I will explain right away to the manager, to Mr. Velasco.
So you don't know who in the apartment above Mr. Salazar was making these noises, correct?
No.
Yeah,
I'm pretty-
okay, okay, that's fine. Or you don't know why these noises were being made, correct?
Well, like I told you, one time when I had a talk to her, she told me that her son that's when her son told me that was a special need. But that's
Okay,
it. I mean, she would explain, told
Okay.
me, I'm probably at the end of when this note was already done to her.
okay. Okay, and you were not a witness to the throwing of objects from the apartment window that you mentioned in the notice to vacate. You were not a witness to that.
No, just by the video that Mr. Salazar has on her personal camera, on her security camera.
Okay, and you were not a video. You were not a witness to the damaging of someone's motorcycle either.
No. But
Okay.
I hear her screaming more than a couple of times to her husband when they were throwing the trash. I do hear her sometimes arguing for little things that they're not even.
Okay, but that's with her husband or with her
Yes,
boyfriend,
yes,
right?
mhm,
Okay. Okay. So all of these complaints that you're citing to have to do with apartment number 9, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Very well. Would you say that somehow Mr. Salazar, well, that's fine. I'll go on to the next thing.
Mr. Velasco,
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Velasco, your next witness?
Okay, Judge, can I ask Mrs. Alonso a follow-up question?
Sure.
Okay, Mrs. Alonso, in speaking with the other tenants that live around apartment 9, have some of those tenants complained to you regarding noise coming from the defendants? I mean, not apartment 9, I'm sorry, apartment, yes?
Apartment.
From the
14
defendants,
and
yeah, from the
apartment 12.
defendant's apartment, right, Mrs. Hamilton. Have you heard complaints from the other tenants regarding noise, loud noise, excessive yelling from the defendant's apartment?
Yes.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, to that question. It was not made up. Ms. Alonso just testified that the notice to vacate, that first bullet point about loud or obnoxious conduct, was coming from apartment 14 or 9, the Mr. Salazar. She made no reference to anybody else. And that's the basis of the suit.
I'm going to allow the question and answer. I mean, if she recalls something, she can testify to that.
Okay.
Judge, in the notice to vacate and demand for possession, I do put there that, as stated, the lease contract, well, just that Mrs. Alonso. So you have received other complaints from the other tenants around the defendant, Mrs. Hamilton's apartment. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Judge. Okay, now I'd like to call in.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask her one more question. But Ms. Alonso, the complaint you currently have is based on the complaints that you've gotten from Mr. Salazar. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I'd like to ask Mrs. Alonso, and it's based also on the other complaints made by the other tenants as well, Mrs. Alonso?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Judge. I'd like to call the tenant in apartment 9, Mr. Salazar.
And in fairness, Mr. Sanchez, did you have any other questions of Ms. Alonso?
Ms. Alonso, but those are not part of this reason for the eviction here. Is that correct? Because you only cited.
No, I mean,
these two.
the other people were complaining about the noise, but more of that is Mr. Salazar, apartment 9. That's the one they're getting more all the
Okay.
training from, they're gonna do something to them, or they go talk to them in a very loud voice. But the
Okay.
other people is just, they say that there's noise going around.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Velasquez, your next witness.
Yes, sir. It's the tenant that lives below the defendant's apartment, in apartment 9. It's Mr. Salazar.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead. You want to ask it, Ms. Salazar, what would you like?
Oh, sorry. So sorry, Judge. because I'm not an attorney, so I'm not too sure on the procedure. Mr. Salazar, do you live below the defendant's apartment?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, on several occasions, you've heard loud noises, yelling, screaming, and therefore, did you make a complaint to the management?
Yes, that's actually happened on several occasions, and I have submitted audios and videos of those noises.
Okay. Now, in these complaints that you have made to the management, apparently the management here, in this case, Mrs. Alonso, brought this to the attention of the defendant, and since then, and if you could kind of elaborate on this, certain threats and comments were made to you by the defendant and or her husband. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Sanchez. No, I'm sorry. The tenant's name is, I'm sorry.
Salazar.
Hamilton.
Salazar. I'm sorry, Mr. Salazar. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. So in July, towards the end of July, was a verbal confrontation with Miss Hamilton, where she was very verbally abusive towards me and my wife. And most recently, we received threats from her husband or boyfriend, stating that if we continued to make complaints against them, that they would do something to me. And more specifically, they said that they would slash the tires of my car. And I have a recording of that as well.
Okay, Mr. Salazar. Also, you made a video regarding the verbal threats. Now, I tried to listen to it when it was sent to me. I couldn't make out too well, but Judge, I don't know. Can we submit that into evidence and see if we can make out what was said? And if it's not clear, can Mr. Salazar elaborate on specifically what he said when he was threatened by the husband of the defendant?
Sure. It is on the screen, though. I've brought up the email, and I think these are where the videos are. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do we want to show first, or what do you want?
The first one, Judge.
Right here, where my cursor is.
Hold on. Give me a second, Judge.
Okay, the two first ones that I sent yesterday are the same, the video, and the audio and the police incident, but in different formats. So it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
These two from yesterday. No, that's today's. That's
Okay.
today's when she threw things from the window.
This
There
is
you
the 15th. This is a video. This is what you want to put up.
Yeah, that's the audio of the threat.
Okay.
¿Qué tipo de formatos? Audio. Okay. Judge, my assistant here would like to find out the video so that you can open it for you.
It depends on their. Okay, I sent the first one. This one is the audio. Okay, so that's the audio, and then the other one is just the police incident.
We're going to take whatever comes up first because I can't.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to try to open up this one. It doesn't appear to be opening. Wait, something's opening. Let me try play. And Mr. Salazar, this, when it first comes up, if you tell me what this is, okay? I'm not sure which video or audio this is. Okay, do you recall this?
Yes, so that is basically the emergency exit that goes through our apartment, and it's a stairway. And they were sitting on the stairway yelling, and then they started making threats.
So is there some audio to this that we should be hearing? Is that what?
Yes,
But the audio is not coming out. Huh.
so if you could replay it, maybe.
What, here?
Yeah, on my phone, it was very clear what he was saying.
I don't know why I'm not getting audio.
Okay.
Any suggestions?
Well, I did show this to the police because I did call the police after the threats were made. And they found it was sufficient evidence to actually write a report on it. And they also spoke with the tenant regarding the threats.
Judge, could you please try the next email? I put it on another format, so maybe it's a little bit clear.
Okay,
That in case
You
you
can hear
didn't
the video.
want, yeah.
this one here?
Yes, that's the one. Mm.
If there's an issue with the video, I could send it myself.
I think it's that one.
If
and-
need
Go ahead, go ahead and send it to JP1, letters J, P1, and then El Paso County written out at gmail.com. And I'm going to try
Okay.
to, as you're doing that, I'm going to try to see what else we
Can I have
can.
you
What,
interrupt? Can you P1,
El Paso County at gmail.com.
El Paso County, they want?
Gmail.com.
Did you say at gmail.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Sí, se tomó lo mandó.
Okay, well, apparently that's where we did send it to, Judge. So it could be that second one that you were trying to open that. It's probably
That's what I'm. Here, let's see
Yeah.
what this is.
Makes sense.
Is this the same video, Mr. Salazar?
I'm sorry, I was trying to.
Okay.
No, that's another video.
And what does this video depict?
In this video, as of lately, they have been putting a speaker in the stairway and just blasting loud music.
Okay.
Judge, since, I mean, we can try and resend it, Mr. Salazar. You're the one that made the recording. Would you be able to send that to the judge again right now on your?
I'm
That's what he's
trying
doing.
to see if I can send the video again, or if I can send just the audio.
Okay, Judge, in case, question here, Judge, if the audio doesn't come in clearly, can Mr. Salazar?
He can testify to,
Go ahead.
yeah, he can testify anything he had personal knowledge of, yes.
Okay, okay. So Mr. Salazar, in case the judge can't hear it, we'll wait, I guess, until they see if it comes up, but would you go ahead and then testify as to what evidence you have or what was told to you by the defendants?
Sure.
What is this video?
Judge, is it okay if I use the exact language that was used in the video?
Yeah, but I've got something up on the screen. Can we talk about whatever this is depicting right here? And then we'll go to whatever.
Sure.
What is this video? Is this a video you took, Mr. Salazar?
That's from the security camera that we have in our window. I believe that's either a video of, yes, that's Miss Hamilton throwing the bike to the ground. That was one of the fights that she had with the boyfriend that got a little out of control. And then there's
Okay.
another video, that same occasion, where she starts throwing things out of the window.
The next email, right? And Mr. Salazar, by bike, you mean motorcycle, right?
Yes.
This is the same one.
So
Oh, no, this is a different video.
Yes.
yes, that's where she's actually throwing stuff out of the window. You can see at the very beginning, she starts throwing things.
Okay. Anybody have you emailed anything, Mr. Salazar?
It's saying the file is it's too large. So I'm trying to see if I can send it via Dropbox. That way, because what I'm assuming happened is the quality of the video was reduced, so it would have been able to be sent via email. But I'm having a little bit of trouble doing that.
This is the video where the audio is not coming through, correct? Mr. Salazar?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Go ahead and tell me what personal knowledge you have of this, or what happened on this occasion when you were filming.
Okay, so they were screaming, and I approached the stairway because I heard the screaming, and I heard Miss Hamilton say something to the extent of these assholes frustrate me. And the boyfriend continues to say, let me hear one more complaint from downstairs, and there's going to be a real problem. I'm going to slash their tires. And then Miss Hamilton says something to the extent of, yeah, and then they're going to record you on their video and they're going to report you, or something like that.
Okay. Okay. At this time, I'm just trying to move this along. Mr. Sanchez, do you have any questions of Mr. Salazar?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Salazar, as far as that video where you heard them talking, you were behind the door, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But they were loud enough that you could hear them.
They specifically made it clear that they wanted me to hear.
Oh, okay. So they knew you were behind the door.
Initially, they thought so, and then Miss Hamilton stated that the car's not there. And then the boyfriend states, well, next time I'll make sure the car's there so they can hear me. So it was very, very obvious that their intention was to communicate that to me.
But they didn't know you were behind the door, is that correct?
Initially, they believed they did, that I was.
Well, how do you know that? You didn't see them.
Because of what they said.
But they didn't make the threat to you at the time. They didn't like see you there and then threaten you there, right?
No, but it was
They
clear
were just
that their
talking.
intention was for it to me. No, they weren't talking. They were screaming at the stairway, through the stairway. They know that I can hear everything through the stairway because this has been an issue before. And he specifically tells Miss Hamilton kind of to let me speak. And then he raises his voice at that point in the video And then he states that there's going to be a problem. Miss Hamilton states the car's not even there. And then the boyfriend goes and continues to say, well, I'll make sure that the car's there next time so he can hear me.
Okay. And with regards to the as far as the video of the bike, you have two videos. You have the video when there's the bike gets knocked down, right?
Correct.
The motorcycle, I guess you call it. And then you have the video where there's clothes or something coming out, like looks like flowing down. It looks like clothes to me. You have that video, right?
Correct.
Okay. So in the first video you showed us, as Miss Hamilton is walking out, the bike falls, right?
She throws it. You can visibly see she grabs it and throws it.
Okay, well, I must have had a hard time seeing that. I didn't see that. I just saw it fall as she was walking by it. But
No, you can tell she grabs it.
Now in the video, the second video of the stuff coming out of her window, the bike is standing back up, right?
Because one thing happened first and then the other.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Which one happened first, and which was? Did you videotape the clothes first, or the things falling out the window first?
I'd have to check the timestamps. I would assume it was first the clothes, then the bike. I don't know if it was first the bike, because I do remember that the boyfriend came out and picked the bike out after that. So I would have to check the videos to see this timestamp to see what the timeline actually was for that.
Okay. So was this a threat to you?
No, but that this was the source of all of the issues that have come about from this case. It was the
I'm going to object, Your Honor.
The arguments, the loudness. I'm sorry?
I'm going to object as to speculation that this is the source of all that's happened.
I'm gonna allow it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I mean, our complaint started because of the loudness that was coming from the Miss Hamilton's apartment.
Okay.
And you could very clearly hear her screaming and then the boyfriend screaming. They would throw things. We also have video of some of the arguments. We have video of where they throw things to the point where the ceiling fan, you could visibly see how it shakes.
So you have video of their apartment?
Directly their apartment, no. Inside of their apartment, no.
And as far as the things are being thrown out the window, did that affect your health or your safety?
No, but I felt I needed to document it just so I can prove that it's not just my word, that they were arguing, that they were getting out of control.
Okay.
Now, did it affect me physically? Maybe not at that point, but in the long run, it has. I mean, it's gotten to the point where the excessive noise is constant. I can't sleep at night. I've had to ask for time off at work just so I can rest. So at that specific point in time, did it affect me physically? No. In the long terms, yes. I do think it has affected me.
Okay, but it wasn't, when she knocked down that bike, it wasn't meant to threaten you or to your health or your safety, right? Is that fair to say? That wasn't the intention?
No.
Okay, when the things were popping out of the window,
I believe so.
When the things were popping out of the window, it wasn't made with the intention of threatening your health or your safety? It just bothers you, but it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't.
I don't think that was her intention.
Okay. Let's see. As a matter of fact, when on the night of the July the 25th or the morning of the 25th, what day of the week was that?
I'm not completely sure.
Okay. But you
have to
say
check.
you heard,
Maybe
you say you heard noise coming from the apartment above you, right?
that's correct.
Okay. And when you heard that noise, didn't you yourself tap on the ceiling? Didn't you tap on the ceiling and hit the ceiling real hard several times?
I did hit the ceiling. Yes, I did hit the ceiling a couple of times. I wouldn't say I hit it hard.
Well, hard enough so she could hear it. Is that correct?
Okay.
You wanted
That's
her to
correct.
hear it, right? Wouldn't you
Yes.
say that's obnoxious behavior on your part too?
Well, considering the fact that this was 4 months of after 4 months of constant complaints, and considering that I have never yelled at them, I have never cursed at them, I have never done anything aggressively towards them, and that they knew beforehand the complaints that were coming from our apartment because of the noise, and they kept doing it intentionally. Yeah, I lost my cool when that happened, but that's the only instance where I admit to losing my cool and did that.
Okay. You admit that it's possible Miss Hamilton might have lost her cool when she came down to talk to you that day?
Agreed.
Just like you lost your cool and you started banging and bothering her and messing with her comfort and her rights to having a quiet, peaceful apartment at the top?
Well, you see, the difference is that it's 4 months of obnoxious behavior, loudness that I have to suffer compared to a couple of taps on her ceiling.
But
she reacted in a very aggressive way to one instance, and I kept my cool for months. So I don't think it's fair to compare the two situations.
But you can see how someone can lose their cool, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you don't know what was happening upstairs, but you heard banging, things like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when she came down to talk to you, she was not in your face, right? I mean, she wasn't right in front of your door, was she?
No, she was on the stairway.
She was over by
looking
the
towards
stairwell,
my door.
right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
She was going back after actually approaching my door.
Right. So she was what? What would you say? How far would you say she was? How far is that stairwell from your door?
I don't know, maybe 5 feet, 6 feet.
Okay. Very well. Don't you think it would have been, would it have been better for you to have gone up there and talked to her or try to talk to her rather than banging on your ceiling, which would be her floor?
Most of the situations that have happened before regarding the noise is because of aggressive behavior coming from that apartment. So looking at her, looking at how hostile she can be, management telling me how hostile she got when she was warned about the noise. No, I don't think it would have been better. I think it would have been extremely worse.
Okay. Did she tell you that, when she came down that day on the 25th of July to talk to you, did she tell you why there was noise up in the apartment?
Yes, she blamed it on her 2-year-old son.
Why do you say blamed? You weren't inside her apartment, were you? You didn't know who was making the noise, did you?
No, and I didn't mention it. She right off the bat said, my son is in his apartment, and if he wants to, something like if he wants to make noise, he's going to make noise. I believe there's a recording of that discussion as well. So the specific wording I can get from that audio. I didn't mention his son.
And there was no police report made of this of the July 25th, correct?
The police was called. I did ask that the report be made. They said that since there was no physical altercations and there was no actual threats to my well-being, that they couldn't make a
Right.
report.
Right.
But the
Okay.
police
Okay.
did come and they did attempt to speak with Miss Hamilton.
Mm. And were you there when they attempted to speak to her?
Yes, sir.
After the police talked to you, you followed them up to her apartment?
I didn't follow them up. I stayed at my door.
Okay, so you were still on the bottom you were at your apartment on the bottom.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, Your Honor, pass the witness.
Okay.
Okay, Judge.
Ms.
Go
Velasco,
ahead.
you have
We're going to ask
witness?
Mr. Salazar some questions.
I think we're good. I think, oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, Mr. Salazar, since the incident on July 25th, have there been other altercations between you and the tenant or police reports made?
Yes, so they have
I'm
been
going to
called.
object, Your Honor. It wasn't made part of the pleadings.
Yeah.
It was only
Let-
specific as to the April 20th and July the 25th.
Okay, Mr. Velasco, unless there's something more relative to July 25th, trying to move this forward.
Well, Judge, this isn't based just around the incident on July 25th. It's regarding her consistent conduct, the way she behaves consistently. It's a consistent behavioral issue with the loud music,
It has gotten
threats that were
worse
made
since the
to
first hearing.
to the tenant in apartment 9, Judge. That's what we're trying
Okay,
to.
I'm gonna allow it just to show a consistent behavior. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Salazar, can you elaborate on that then?
Okay, so since the first hearing, there has been consistent loud music. We have noticed that when they know that we're there, they go out of their way to play loud music and bang on the floor. It's pretty obvious that it's not their son that's doing it. I would assume the son is way too small to make that big of a noise. They also put speakers in the emergency exit stairway and they blast music because they know, and management has told them before that the wall from that stairway goes directly through my apartment so we can hear everything. The latest thing that happened was another occasion where Ms. Hamilton and the boyfriend or husband got into an altercation that got out of control. They were yelling, they were screaming, they were making a lot of noise, stomping, throwing stuff. We called the police, they came out, they spoke with them, and about 10 to 15 minutes after the police left, that's when they went back to the emergency exit stairway, and that's when they started screaming threats towards me.
Mr. Salazar, on those threats that you heard, can you elaborate on that and tell us what you heard?
So basically, they said that if I continued to complain about the noise, that they were going to create problems for me, and specifically, they said that they were going to slash the tires of my car.
Mr. Salazar, would you consider that a threat? Would you
Yes.
consider that a threat? Okay.
Yes, yes,
So-
of course. I that's why I called the police, because I figured if he loses his temper, I mean, the only thing that's separating us is just a thin door. So I honestly felt scared and felt very insecure in my own apartment.
So based on the conduct of Mrs. Hamilton and her husband, you're having or being able to be comfortable in your apartment. Do you feel that that's been violated by them?
Oh, yes, yes. I feel that constantly. I can't sleep well anymore because I feel like something's going to happen. My wife is a stay-at-home wife. She worries me constantly. I'm constantly texting her just to make sure that she's okay and that nothing's happening. We have a security camera in the back. I'm constantly checking the security camera just to make sure that nothing's happening. Like I had mentioned earlier, There were instances where the loud noises went into the night, so I didn't really get any sleep. So I asked for some time off in order to get some rest. So yes, it's affecting my quality of living. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Judge, not to prolong the issue, I think, and this, again, I'm not an attorney, Judge, so I don't know how this whole thing rolls out, but based on the testimony from both my management that has testified that having given this defendant various verbal warnings, we've given her a written warning.
This is more your final argument. Mr. Sanchez, do you have any questions of Mr. Salazar?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Velasco.
Okay.
But I still have Miss Hamilton as
Okay.
well.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Sanchez Hamilton.
But Mr.
Mr.
Am I next?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Did you say I should go ahead with what I was saying?
No, you're kind of going into a final argument. Do you have another witness?
Not at this moment, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez, go ahead and call your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Miss Melissa Hamilton. Miss Hamilton, with regards to that notice that you received, the allegations made about the loud or obnoxious conduct on April the 20th, 2021, about the screaming and sounds of things breaking and loud banging, which caused the walls and the roof of other tenants to shake. How would you respond to that allegation?
I say that the screaming is the yelling, talking loud, that is correct. But I have not been throwing anything, breaking anything in my apartment. My son and my daughter, they do throw their toys, especially heavy toys that they have.
They run through the
They run through the apartment, but it's not just me. I can only control myself so much. I can't physically tie up or hush other people. I try my best to like, hey, calm down. We'll figure something out. But it's just, I feel harassed at this point. I can't.
Harassed by whom?
I'm sorry?
Who do you feel harassed by?
By everyone. It's just people stalking me on social media. They're
Anybody in particular in the apartment?
I feel I don't even leave my apartment because of everything going on.
Okay.
I feel like I have to. I'm sorry?
I was going to ask you a question with regards to that violation where they're saying that you were throwing objects from the apartment window. What was it you were throwing, ma'am?
It was a bag of clothes.
Okay. And whose clothes were those?
My son's father. He
Okay.
came and spent some time with him for the weekend, and I was frustrated. I feel like I'm frustrated as a mom because my kids rarely listen. And I feel I'm frustrated as a woman because when someone doesn't listen to me, I got so mad with my child's father.
Okay. And what about the incident with the bike, the motorcycle? Is it a motorcycle that you knocked over?
It's a motorcycle moped. And I admit I did not get over, but we picked it up and it was my baby's father's.
Okay.
There was no damages to it. He refused to call the police about it or make a report about it.
Okay. And so you didn't damage any neighbors. You didn't cause any damage to any neighbor's property, right?
No.
Okay. And then with regards to the incident of July the 25th, when you went down to talk to Mr. Salazar, what happened before you went down the stairs? What happened?
My 7-year-old was playing around with a toy and her brother wanted it. And in turn, he decided to throw a temper tantrum because he couldn't get the toy from her, and he was kicking his feet on the floor. Then
Okay. And how old is your son?
He's 21 months old. He'll be 2 in November.
Okay. And why does he have these tantrums? What happened to him?
He was born severely premature, so he doesn't understand a lot. He's still developing. He's still barely learning how to walk. He's learning how to control his emotions. He does not talk.
Okay.
I am working with an ECI program to try to get him to his developmental abilities, but it's a work in progress.
Okay. What is ECI?
Early childhood intervention.
Okay. And you take him to those clinics for treatment. Is that correct?
They're mostly through Zoom because of the whole COVID issues.
Okay.
My son also has lung and heart issues, and he's not allowed too much contact with people.
Okay. And this day on the 25th, when there was that banging and stuff, you indicate that was your son?
Yes, it was my son and my daughter. They were messing around playing, and my son threw a temper tantrum on the floor.
Was there any yelling going on? Were they yelling at each other?
They weren't really yelling at each other, just making normal household noises. And then because of, I guess, the stomping, that's when Mr. Salazar decided to bang. But he thinks he tapped too lightly, and I felt that vibrate on my body because I was sitting on the floor near them.
Okay. And you could feel it.
Yes.
And then what happened after he tapped on your floor?
That's when I got upset because I felt threatened at that moment. So I went downstairs and I decided I wanted to go talk to him, but I was so mad because I had received one verbal complaint regarding my children playing already.
So you kind of lost your cool.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were when you live on the top floor, so you have to go down the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you knock on the door to Mr. Salazar or what did you do?
I didn't knock on the door. I thought about it, but then I was like, no, then I didn't know what would happen. So I went back up the stairs and I just yelled through the door. I was like, what is your issue? Like, my son gets to play. Like, I can't keep him pent up or tied up how you guys want all day.
Okay. And then
Mr. Salazar told me to be an adult about it and tell him no.
Okay, that was his response to what you told him.
Yes.
Okay. Did you at any point threaten him?
No.
Did you point or raise your hand or your fist at him?
No.
Okay. How long would you say that conversation was?
It was about maximum 2 to 3 minutes. It wasn't very long at all.
Okay, now he says that he called the police. Did the police go to your apartment? Do you know if they went to your apartment?
I didn't hear the knock at all. So if there was a police presence, I was unaware of it.
But you never saw them during the time or shortly after your conversation with Mr. Salazar?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now, you and your boyfriend, he visits you and you do have altercations or verbal arguments?
Yes, that I can agree, but not all the time when he comes to visit. It's just mainly my kids will be in the room playing, throwing things around. And I'll put my voice at them. I'll ask why my son's crying or why she's crying.
Okay.
I'm cooking, cleaning, doing household duties.
Let me ask you this. When you first moved into the apartment, what did you ask as far as apartments? Did you want an apartment on the second floor or where did you want to live?
No, 4 months prior to before signing my contract, I was promised the number 3 apartment.
Where is that located?
That's located on the first floor because I
Mrs.
knew.
Sanchez, what is the relevance of her apartment.
The relevance is, Judge, that she had requested a bottom floor apartment because she knew that there would be issues with noise from her children, and that's why she wanted to avoid that whole
Okay.
issue.
So when they tell her there's not, I mean, she could look elsewhere, could she not?
That's not what they said.
Miss,
Well, the
Ms. Hamilton?
thing was that they told me that the apartment wasn't ready at that moment, that it would take.
I'm
months.
not gonna go into this about another apartment available 4 months prior
okay,
to
yeah.
the case when we're talking about an eviction happening in July. I'm not gonna go back in time and address something about she didn't get the apartment she didn't want.
Okay. Did you address that issue after April the 20th? Did you ever address that
Yes.
again with them after April the 20th?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was their response?
Ms. Alonso had stated that they had no intention on fixing up the apartment.
Okay, okay. And is Mr. Were you outside of the door? Mr. Salazar says that he overheard you and your boyfriend talking on the stairs outside the door. Were you were you there that day that he's saying?
I wasn't there directly. I had went to the kitchen. He was outside talking to somebody on the phone by the stairwell.
Okay, so he was talking on the phone to some. He wasn't talking to you,
Correct.
and you weren't talking to him.
No, at that moment in time, no. We had our little spat, our little argument. He went to go cool off by the stairwell. Who he was talking to, I have no clue. I went to go make dinner.
Okay, okay, and that's basically it. Okay, is Mr. Van Busen is he there?
Yes, he is here.
Is he available to testify?
Yes, he is.
Okay, can you put him on?
Hello,
Hello, Mr. Van Busen. What's
Can you
your
raise
full
right
name,
hand,
sir?
please?
Yes.
Dennis Van Duzen.
Raise your hand, sir. They're going to swear you in. Raise your hand, please.
You swear the testimony about to give should be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Van Busen, you've heard Mr. Salazar and what he was saying about this incident, about you talking or making threats about him when you were outside the door of the stairwell. What was happening there?
I was on the phone with a friend from Pennsylvania. I wasn't making no threats toward him. The only thing she had mentioned, because the police had just left, and she had mentioned about like complaints. I was like, I know it's getting ridiculous because we're getting complaints almost constant. We got a complaint as soon as we moved in about using the back stairwell, and we have a written warning on this. And it clearly states that it would cause a problem with the downstairs neighbor if we can continue to use that door. And I said,
Okay.
why would that be an issue with the downstairs neighbor? Because we used our back door to bring in groceries or whatever. And then we
Okay.
were also told that we couldn't park near the buildings, but yet everybody else here does. We hear other tenants arguing at 6 o'clock in the morning. As per arguing past 9 o'clock, that's lies, because I know for myself, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I wake up real early in the morning. I wake up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in bed by 9.
Okay, okay. And so you were talking on the phone with someone else. You weren't
Yes, I'm
you weren't
talking
making
to
reference to Mr. Salazar?
No, I was actually talking about an incident that the incident that started the argument between me and Melissa is what I was talking about. It was because I told this woman and this guy that I was arguing about to pull the fuck up, is what I said.
Okay.
Excuse my language, but that's what I said. It wasn't to do with nothing with number 9.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Mr. Velasco, do you have any questions of Mr. Van Busen, I believe?
Well, yeah, for both Mrs. Hamilton and Mr. Van.
Sure.
Okay, which one do you want me to
Hamilton.
start with, Judge? How about if I start with Mrs. Hamilton?
Okay, go ahead. Ms. Hamilton, can you put her back on the screen?
Son.
Can you put Ms. Hamilton back on the screen, Mr. Van Busen, please?
Yeah, I'm right here. She's changing our son right now.
Okay, well, I'll start with Mr. Van Busen. I'll start with Mr. Van Busen, that's fine. Mr. Van Busen, your relationship with Mrs. Hamilton, are you all married?
No, we're not married. We're common law.
Okay, the two children that you have, are you the natural father?
Objection,
I'm
Your
the
Honor. What's
father to
the
the
relevance
youngest.
of that?
I'm the father to the youngest. I'm
I'm
the
gonna allow it.
stepfather to the oldest.
Okay, so the relationship that you have with Mrs. Hamilton, question here, is it strained at times because, and the reason I'm asking
Can
is,
you repeat that again?
yeah, the question is the relationship that you have with Mrs. Hamilton, based on the complaints that I received from other tenants, would you call that a good relationship in that it's?
We have a good relationship. Yes, we argue, as do all couples. Yes, at times it does get a little loud and heated in the words, but we don't touch each other. We don't put our hands on each other. It's just a normal argument.
Okay, so do you guys use maybe vulgar language at times? Does that occur?
I honestly, I'll admit, I use vulgar language all the time, and I tend to get a little loud. Period. As I'm from New York, that's just me. I tend to get loud. I could talk to somebody calm, and I'm gonna get loud. We're loud and obnoxious in New York. I don't know if anybody's been there, but yeah.
All right. Now, so when Mr. Salazar made the statement that he heard you and Mrs. Hamilton make comments regarding threatening him and his vehicle, he stated that he felt that you all were saying those things in the stairwell next to his door so that you could hear them. Is that the case?
I did not even know he was out there, and that's going to be an issue that I'm going to write up a cease and desist order for him, because I feel like that's a violation of my privacy for him to just be recording us outside our doors without us knowing. I don't even talk to them. I talk to nobody around here. We have no issues other than the harassment. Like, it's almost constant. Like I said, when we first moved in, we received a written notice not to use our back stairwell, as that would cause issues with number 9.
Yeah, but isn't that the case that you were in that emergency stairwell making those complaints?
Mr. Velasco, I'm
I
gonna
was
stop
sitting there.
both parties right here. I have 8 other evictions waiting to go. We're an hour behind on those. I've heard enough test. Just hear final arguments from Mr. Velasco first, and then from Mr. Sanchez.
Okay, Judge, based on what we've heard here, Judge, regarding the complaints, not only from the tenant apartment 9, but the other complaints regarding loud music, putting speakers in the stairwells to bother the tenants, the constant yelling, the hostile environment that it's created by Mrs. Hamilton and her husband regarding the other tenants. Also the threats that Mr. Salazar heard. I feel that we have grounds for eviction. The situation at the building in that particular area of the building with those particular tenants has gotten to the point that from what the tenants that I spoke to, a total of 3, they are very, very uncomfortable with the loud music, the constant loud music, the yelling and the screaming between the adults, and the fact that the threat was made, even though it wasn't made directly to him, but he heard the threats. I feel we have the basis for an eviction, Judge.
Okay.
Again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm trying my best, Judge.
Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, Your Honor. I had submitted as an affirmative defense the disability of the child and the child's proclivities to be loud, to have to have tantrums in the house. And it's apparent to me, and I think on one occasion, Mr. Salazar mentioned the doors are very thin. So I would imagine the walls are very thin. and anything that's going on in the apartment above can seem like very loud. And obviously, Ms. Hamilton has testified that her kids do play in their house, and it can lead to they are on the second floor, and it can certainly lead to noise being made. But the child who tends to be the more loudest is the one that's got the disability, and we would ask that the court take that into account. That the child is disabled and he does throw tantrums. If you read the what I submitted as an exhibit, his provider's letter indicating that he does throw tantrums, and because of his lack of speech and for other issues too, you'll see it's there. And I would ask the court to take that into account. Also, I would ask the court to take into account that Mr. Salazar himself said that he never felt threatened his safety or his health when he spoke to Ms. Hamilton, when they had that confrontation, so to speak, at the stairwell, that he didn't feel threatened by that. And I would also say that with regards to the other issue about the violation, with regards to the obnoxious behavior and the throwing of things outside the window, and the knocking of the bike, that was an altercation between Ms. Hamilton and Mr. Van Busen, and it hurt nobody. It didn't affect anybody else. Nobody else, none of the other tenants were affected. I would also say, Your Honor, if these people were as bad as they say they are, it just sounds like nobody else has been affected. Nobody else testified except Mr. Salazar. And of course, because he's underneath, he probably tends to hear more of the banging and the kids playing around than anybody else would. And I would ask the court to take all that into account and deny the request for eviction, the petition for eviction.
Okay, thank you all. Based on the evidence presented and the actions of the Ms. Hamilton and Van Dusen, I'm going to grant the eviction. Order to vacate the writ of possession date is September 23rd. I'm going to set bond $750. I believe we have everybody's email, correct?
Yeah, you do have mine, Judge.
Okay. We will email you all a copy of the order.
Thank you, sir.
Did you say the writ of possession to issue on the 23rd?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
And you'll get a copy. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Your Honor, for your time.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.